But yes, the merchandise from Inuka. Have you gotten to know at least 2 people in your table? I want to check. Have you gotten to know at least 2 people? If your table has 1 person, you need to know them very well. But I want to give you at least 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Get to know each person, at least 2 people on your table. Know their name, where do they come from? Not even where do they come from, what do they like to do? What are they passionate about? I know Oliver from my table, at least. I know Eve from my table. I know Nekesa, Mulai. Mimi nimefanya kazi. 1, 2, 3, 5. 2 more. So when I'm coming back, I have 2 more people. I also hope the cameraman, hapo kwa DJ, we also know each other. Alan. Please get to know the people on your table. There'll be a gift for the person who knows their people the best. All right. Have you gotten to know someone at your table? Have you gotten to know 2 people at your table? 2 people. And you've gotten contacts from those 2 people. So when you leave here, at least you know you can call one of them from each organization. And you can partner in doing something. All right. So just a reminder that we are here for the launch of the Towards Care, Healing and Resilience, which is a toolkit for building a wellness ecosystem for civic actors. And this is a wellness program by Inuka Kenya ni sisi. Inuka Kenya ni sisi. How many of us here have mobile phones, handsets? I want to see your handsets. Simu. Mukona bundles. Wellness. For your wellness today, there's a Wi-Fi voucher code, which is Inuka. Inuka. Have you gotten it? Mumeipata? Have you gotten it? All right. So now I want you to go to Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter. Twitter. Mtu ameniambia ni Twitter. Sio Twitter. And I want you to say #wellness in action. Hashtag. Ni kama hamu type. Hashtag. Okay, mnaelewa Kiswahili. Alama ya reli. Alama ya reli ni nini? Alama yetu ya reli ya leo inasemaje? Alama ya reli inasema nini? Sasa tuweke hiyo alama ya reli katika Twitter na tuweke wellness in action. Na unaweza sema leo nimekutana na, then put your neighbor's name, the one that you've just met at this event. Wellness in action, and something that they've said, something that you've learned about them, and something that you're looking forward to today. So #wellness in action. And also for our housekeeping, The bathrooms are on my left, which would be, if you're on this side where I am, it's on your left. If you're on the other side, it will be on your right. But at the far end, on my left where I'm pointing, the bathrooms are there, so we would be able to use the facilities. There's also breakfast that is being served just after that bathroom area. When you go down on your right, you'll be able to access some breakfast. I can also see some of the beverages are here, such as hot tea and milk. Kwa hivyo karibuni sana. And I can see our chief guest has arrived. Karibu sana, makofi kwake. Hey jamani. For the sake of us appreciating the people who will be coming here, when I say makofi, you clap once. When I say makofi again, you clap once. And then when I say it the third time, you clap 1, 2, 3. Makofi, makofi, makofi. So makofi, makofi, makofi. Hey, yo. All right, I will do a for example. Makofi, makofi, makofi. No, 1, 2, 3. Makofi, makofi, makofi. Have we gotten it? So now can we try for our chief guest? Makofi, makofi, makofi. Asanteni sana. So with those few remarks, we will arise for the Kenya National Anthem and the East African Anthem. Tafadhali tusimame ili tuweze kuimba wimbo wetu wa taifa na wimbo wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki, na naomba tuweze kujiunga sote ili tuimbe kwa pamoja. Mungu nguvu yetu, ilete baraka kwetu, haki iwe ngao na mlinzi, na tukae na undugu, amani na uhuru, raha tupate na ustawi. Amkeni ndugu zetu, tufanye sote bidii, nasi tujitoe kwa nguvu. Nchi yetu ya Kenya tunayoipenda, tuwe tayari kuilinda, na tujenge taifa letu. Ndio wajibu wetu. Kenya istahili heshima, tuungane mikono pamoja kazini, kila siku tuwe na shukrani. Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi na amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike. Moja wetu ni nguvu yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. Holeyo. All right. Thank you very much. We can take our wellness in action. And as we speak about wellness, we are going to be hearing one number that will bring us to that spirit of wellness and calm our souls. I am your MC. My name is Sefu Sani, and I'll be taking you throughout the program. You can join me if you know this song. You can sing along. You can wave. You can sway. You can turn your head. Ululuwahi doodla, loliwewahi doodla, ululuwahi doodla. Nangasisa Ololi we wahai tudula Ololi we wahai tudula Ololi we wahai tudula Nangasisa Sule sonye mbezi mtagwetu Sule sonye mbezi mtagwetu Sule sonye mbezi mtagwetu Nangesisa Sule sonye mbezi mtagwetu Sule sonye mbezi mtagwetu Sule sonye mbezi mtagwetu Nangesisa Loliwe Why doodle Loliwe why doodle Loliwe why doodle Nangesisa Loliwe Why doodle Loliwe why doodle Loliwe why doodle Nangesisa Sule zonye mbezi mtagwetu Sule zonye mbezi mtagwetu Sule zonye mbezi mtagwetu. I would have hoped to see you swaying or nodding your head or waving your hand or even singing along if you like the song. Hey. Pezulu engosini kutali mwele zodwa omawufunai ukuyakona tandaza Pezulu engosini kutali mwele zodwa omawufunai ukuyakona tandaza Loliwe why doodle Loliwe why doodle Loliwe why doodle Nangesisa Loliwe why doodle Loliwe why doodle Loliwe why doodle Nangesisa Sule zonye mbezi mtagwetu Sule zonye mbezi mtagwetu Sule zonye mbezi mtagwetu Nangesisa Loliwe Why doodle Loliwe why doodle Loliwe why doodle season. Oh, Pesulu, and Gozini, Kutali, well as on a mouth for night, we are gonna Tandaza. Thank you so much. This is a song in Xhosa language, South Africa. It was done by a lady known as Zahara. And she was able to give us a very beautiful song, despite being an artist as well and going through a lot of wellness issues. But the song says, dry your tears, my loved ones. So don't be so sad, because there is hope. So it's a song that talks about hope and there being hope in whatever it is that we are going through. I will sing one more song and then we will go into the snippet of the Wellness Initiative. This is also a song that you can lean into during times where you need some hope. Alan. Please feel free to join in. Heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. You don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Sing with me if you know it. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Clap for yourself. Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to her kitchen chair. She broke your throne and she cut your hair. From your lips she drew the hallelujah. Sing it with me. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. A bit louder. Hallelujah. You guys are amazing. We should form a choir together. The wellness choir. What do you think? I know that there's a God above, but all I've ever learned from love was how to shoot at somebody who outdrew you. It's not a cry that you hear at night, and it's not someone who's in the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. Thank you. I hope you've been inspired and So now we're going to have a snippet of the wellness initiative that will be playing on our screens. So I would like us to kindly focus on the screen, and then we are going to have some short remarks.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. It's a pleasure again to be here to talk to you, to speak with you, and just to engage. My name is Salima Njoki Masharia from Inuka, Kenya, where we are implementing the Wellness Resource Hub. And I know maybe if this is your first time, you're following us, you're joining us, you're watching us from wherever you are, you might wonder what this program is, who is supposed to benefit, where it's implemented, and just to share that the Wellness Resource Hub is housed under Inuka, Kenya, Nisisi, but we have partners in Uganda and Tanzania. And the reason why we are implementing this program is just to appreciate the work that the civic actors are doing, have been doing, and continue to do, because we are aware that, and cognizant that human rights defenders, or civic actors if you might want to call them that, they go through a lot of challenges, physical challenges, psychological challenges, emotional challenges. So as an organization, as an institution, we are here to be able to offer a space, a process, and a place where the civic actors can come to decompress, to speak about their issues, to get rejuvenated, to relax, and so that they are able to continue doing the incredible and the phenomenal work that they do in their communities, in their spaces, in their regions, and in their country.
We thank you, our partners, we thank you, our collaborators, we thank you, our civic actors, for the work that you do even in very hostile situations and circumstances. So in the event that your individuals, your organizations are feeling overwhelmed, please don't hesitate to reach to us through the contacts provided. Thank you so much.
I think we can clap for that. It was amazing. Makofi. No, I taught you how to clap. Makofi. 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 Yeah.
Freedom fighters and resistance. You do not have to go at it alone. You do not really have to. There's a lot of us who are experiencing exactly the same, and the takeaway that I take from Inuka, from yesterday's and today's session, is that men can also be vulnerable. Do not go at it alone. Speak, and you'll find a community that will hug you. It's okay to break down. It's okay not to feel like you have it, because not all of us have it. And if you can, please find Inuka. They'll help.
Veronica here. We are at Jumuiya Resort. It's in Limuru. We came here for a retreat with Inuka. We've shared a lot. Through a lot of things that we shared, like most of us, we've been healed through words and through everything that we shared among each other. And it was a very nice session, and we would like to do that again. You know, with that, at least, I mean, we've all gotten healed. Yeah.
Hello there, I'm Steve Biko. We've been here from yesterday in a retreat with Inuka, Kenya, Nisisi. And we had met here as human rights defenders, and from the session, what I came to realize is that we as the HRDs, we are just wounded soldiers who are fighting for the rights of other wounded soldiers. So the experience has been nice. How I wish this happens so often. I came to realize that we as men, or even the male generation, is like sometimes we act like we are sober, yet we are so broken. I would encourage all the men outside to feel free to come out, to share their stories, because it is part of the healing when it comes to mental health.
My name is Omar Muni. We have been here at the Jumia Resort for the last 1.5 days. The Inuka, Sisi, Kenya. Okay, as a friend of, as a supporter, strong supporter of the RGM movement and a human rights defender, I can say that we have had a good experience here. We have been able to share our experiences, and in the process, we have been relieved. We have also been encouraged to, on matters to do with mental awareness, and we would love to have such sessions more often, so that we can receive that, we can have that relief, that mental relief that we so much want. You know, during these harsh times and the situations we face as the human rights defenders is tough. We would want to be encouraged in such sessions. So thank you to Inuka Sisi Kenya, and us, and also the RGM movement. We look forward to interacting again soon.
My name is Sophie Mogorenjehia. I'm HRD, really a political activist. I'd like to say thank you to Inuka Sisi for the opportunity really to recognize that the mental health of HRDs is very much overlooked, yet we carry so many burdens of our own work, as well as the victims that we face, that we come across. For instance, those who have been shot in the protest, those who have lost their loved ones in the protest. So we carry most of that baggage, and most times we are sidelined. So thank you so much, Inuka, for bringing us here. The most amazing part was we all slept in our own rooms. Everyone had their own space. That in itself was healing, because everyone has their own way of coming down. So that was amazing. The food was great. The Inuka staff were amazing, especially in listening to us, hugging us, and reassuring us that this will not only be the first time for us to do this. Occasionally, we'll be getting together and having conversations. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and we hope that we can work together and find more funding platforms so that we can accommodate even those who have been affected during the protests, those who have lost their loved ones, so that we can bring them also on board and work on their mental health. And together we continue with the struggle, with the hope that one day we are going to win. Thank you so much, Inuka, and you're the best.
Thank you, and hi everyone. My name is Marvin James Sambuka. I'm from the RGM movement. I'm number 4. We are here today courtesy of Inuka, and it's been a very, very wonderful experience. We've learnt a lot. We've equally gotten the opportunity to share and to disclose our innermost feelings, more so when it comes to the activities that we've been engaging in from last year and till date. Some of us have been in this space for long, especially in activism, and so far we are seeing the wins. We are gaining, we are winning, and that is what is important. Inuka has has played a very, very integral part in this, just to ensure that at least we get the platform to feel safe, to open up and to feel vulnerable. It's really helped us a lot, and in RGM we are also thinking of a strategy on how we are going to adopt this so that we can equally assist more members and make sure that everybody is feeling safe in in this particular space. Most times you usually say mwanaume ni kukufa na matatizo yake, hiyo ndio kwa mwanaume, but we want to demystify that. We have also seen over the years many of the male figures in our country. Most of them, they're going through hardships and so many struggles, but they are not willing to share. But with Inuka, it's a very open platform where nobody is going to judge you, where nobody is going to victimize you. You are very, very safe, and it's a very, very safe platform where you can come, open up and share. And remember, that is the first step of getting to a solution. So we as men, I encourage as many men as possible. Don't feel left out, don't feel locked out, don't feel shy. This is the one opportunity that we've been waiting for. We are all here and we are all suffering the same way. Yours may be bigger than mine, or mine may be bigger than yours, but it's still suffering. And we don't have to do that. Well, there is somebody who is willing to hold your hand, somebody who is willing to walk with you through the whole journey. So I welcome as many men as possible, young people who are going through something and they're not able to share it out. This is the perfect opportunity, or this is the perfect space for you to come and share out and open up.
My name is Koganda College, active citizen. I'm in HRD, and it was a pleasure actually coming to this event. It's been a blessing for mostly HRDs who've been suffering inside. We've learned a lot from others. We've listened to stories. We thought we had stories until we listened to other people's stories. It's been emotional, but at the same time therapeutic. Most of us we leave here encouraged, and just to know that others are actually going through what we go through, and from that we learn. We thank the organizer of this event. It was really necessary. If I speak on behalf of myself, it was really necessary for me to come and just share, and just the ambience of this place. The organizers actually chose a very good location for this event. So to the organizers, thank you so much for this event. There's no word to describe what you've done to us. Most of us who are in the front line of all this protest, and that's just calling out for good leadership. I've learned a lot. I go home a new person, and also to encourage men to come out and tell their stories or what they feel. Talking sometimes relieves a lot. So to men who probably think being quiet and suffering from inside, sometimes getting out and sharing relieves a lot. I feel like I'm healed, even though I've not taken any medicine, but I feel like a part of me is relieved, a part of me is now well. And once again, big thank you to the organizers, Inuka. Thank you so much, and I pray that this does not become an end to what you're doing, but it becomes the beginning of what you're doing. Thank you so much.
That is the wellness kit. How did you find it? How did you find it? How did you find the kit? I can see this. Any other random responses? Yes, the testimonies speak for themselves. Tuwapigie makofi. Makofi! 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 That was a really amazing work. That was a snippet, from the Wellness Initiative. And the person who spoke in the beginning is Salima Njoki Masharia. She's the programs officer for the East Africa Wellness Hub. Salima is also a community mental health expert and protection officer. She's a highly experienced psychologist with a passion for helping individuals heal from the effects of traumatic experiences, committed to pursuing excellence as a community-focused social worker and therapist, coordinating and facilitating innovative program interventions that uphold human dignity and secure livelihoods, particularly for the vulnerable and the most marginalized in society. And we've also seen the HRDs and civic actors who took part in the wellness initiative. And there's one of them who said they were very happy to have their own room. That really touched me. Maybe you can tell your neighbor, free space. Free space. Do you have free space where you are? Do you feel free? All right. So I hope you also feel free and well. For those who've just joined us, karibuni sana. On my left, which would be on your right if you're seated right opposite me, that is where you will find the washrooms. And down after the left to your right, there's a station that is serving breakfast. So you can get your breakfast from that station. And there are some hot beverages here. You can also request for whichever one that you would like to get. Our hashtag on social media is Wellness in Action. So when I say Inuka Kenya, you say Wellness in Action. Inuka Kenya. Wellness in Action. All right, so now I would hope that you tweet something from this wellness initiative on your Twitter space, Wellness in Action. We are also streaming live on YouTube. So we are streaming live on YouTube, the Inuka Kenya Nisisi page. There's also Inform Action. Actually, Inform Action, when you go to the page of Inform Action, you will be able to see the live stream of this event. So you can share with those people who are not here, who would like to participate or see how the program is ongoing. Inuka Kenya. Wellness in Action. Right. So now we will move to the remarks that will be undertaken today. And in our remarks, we're going to have an introduction to Inuka, to the Inuka, Nisisi, and the East Africa wellness journey. How has it been? And where do we want to go from here? So as we said, today we are launching the Towards Care, Healing and Resilience, which is a toolkit for building a wellness ecosystem for civic actors. And the person who will be taking us through this remark will be the CEO of Inuka Kenya, who is none other than Kawive Wambua. Kawive Wambua is an educationist, he's a literary scholar and a writer. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Inuka Trust and the immediate former Makueni County Executive Committee Member for Devolution and Public Service. So we're going to welcome Kawive Wambua. Makofi, 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 Makofi. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Sefo, for that kind introduction. I keep on saying that I moved on from working with the government. I was just telling Dr. that I worked with government at one point, and it's different coming from the sector and interacting with that space. But good morning, everyone. Hello. Hello. Are you okay? Yes. I would like to thank you all for coming to this toolkit launch. It has been a long journey, and I want to take, how many minutes do I have? 15. What do I do in 15 minutes? So I want to welcome you all. I don't want to mention all your organizations, but allow me to mention a few. The government of Kenya is here. You know that the government has got a wellness policy, a mental health policy, and it's good that we recognize that they have done work. Actually, I've been told this morning there is a board that runs the wellness aspect. It's interesting. And two, we've got partners that we've worked with before. We recognize the presence of the Embassy of Sweden, who are here to support this journey. We have got apologies from the Ford Foundation. We have got the presence of our chief guest, Anne Gathombe, who is here with us. Sector leaders, KHRC, Inform Action, Midrift Network, Human Rights Network, Urinet, ELF. We have got representatives from all key institutions in the country: Kituo cha Sheria, IMLU, Twaweza, TISA, Uraia. The ED of Uraia is here. Women in Human Rights, the Bipolar Foundation, Care Kenya, and many others. I don't want to mention all of you because I will be very boring. But I want to celebrate your coming here, you are being with us. Please, if I have not mentioned you, feel welcomed because this is our space. When we designed this program with the wow, straight from where I'm standing, there's a signboard which reads Tulia Wellness Center. Wow, now that is beautiful. When we started this journey, way in 2022, we had the support of our board members who originated the idea, and we actually called this program Tulia Wellness Program. The main aim was to establish a Tulia Wellness Center, a sanctuary for civic actors. And I'll give you the example of some of the main people that we know who have done a lot of work in the human rights sector. People who have achieved the greatest feats in human rights advocacy. Most of them, when their energy dissipates, when they're not able to be as energetic and as vocal and as articulate as they used to be, where do they go? Where are the elders of the sector? Just reflect. The person, when you joined human rights advocacy work, the person who was your role model, the leader of the human rights movement, where are they? Apart from those who joined the government or those that became titular heads of institutions, where are the rest? One of the people who, for me, was very instrumental in sharpening my advocacy voice is a lady called Kwamboka. And Kwamboka lived in the informal settlements in this Nairobi. But Kwamboka fell off the platform without anybody noticing. And the next thing I saw was after 5, 6, 7 years, was KHRC fundraising to go and bury Kwamboka. People who were on the screens of our news talking about the defense for human rights. Who takes care of them? And that is the genesis of this program, to say, who will take care of the freedom fighters? Who will take care of the people who fight for those who cannot fight for themselves? So when we started in 2022, of course, after the elections, most of the civil society leaders, and Malombe and Duwin will bear me witness, were sort of were immensely affected. And so we started with a debriefing session for leaders. But then we discovered that if you do only for leaders, what do you do for those who do the real work? Because leaders do the thinking and the strategy. But there are those who implement, and there are bigger numbers. And there are those in communities who actually do the groundwork. What do you do with them? And therefore we started a program of saying, how do we debrief? How do we work with everybody across board? Different tools for different people to access wellness. And so, where this journey will end, where it will end for us is where every institution, every individual has one, knowledge, awareness, acceptance, and ability to do wellness. So the moment every organization will have a wellness policy and a wellness practice, which is an evolving kind of situation, then we will say our work is done. What is a wellness practice? It's one of the things that you will find from the toolkit. Do we practice unwellness, all of us? I want answers. Do we practice unwellness? Yes. Yesterday at 11 in the night, I was copy editing a strategy document. Is that wellness or unwellness? Unwellness. And who is standing here? Me. So we have got double lives. And we have to share that, because you have to realize that what you do is unwellness before you change it to be well. And I've given my own example because I realized and I know. And I'm not afraid to confront my own fears or my own shortcomings. Okay? So Salima, who is has heard, I know she will think about something to to do. No, it's a joke. So this journey is our journey. It's a journey in the sector. How do we make this sector friendly? We are talking about a sector of people who wake up every morning hurting. You hurt because your neighbor does not have food. You hurt because your relative or your friend has been gunned down by the police. You hurt because the policy framework and implementation of projects by the government does not serve the interests of the poor and the needy. You hurt because there is SHA, which becomes SHE, and then there is housing levy, which does not help those people who need houses. So you hurt because of what the government does and what the government does not do. So you fight for the rights of those people who are vulnerable and whose rights have been disenfranchised. So it is those people that this program is focused on and saying, how do we make this country better so that those who fight can have the energy to continue fighting. Daktari, I wasn't focused on you as a person, but it is true. These things act as civic actors. So allow me to welcome all of you and say Inuka, apart from the wellness program, has got several other programs. We exist to build a movement of civic actors who connect across counties and across borders in the East African region to fight for good governance, to fight for democracy, to fight for human rights. We have programs such as Maskani, which is an online, offline, iterative program that mobilizes young people and does digital skilling for people to articulate and fight for human rights. We have the online platform, which is called the elephant.info, which is developing knowledge and information for making or remaking the civic space and recasting the public sphere. Our public sphere, as you know, is borrowed from the colonial dictum of get in, exploit people, make sure they are stupefied, you exploit them and walk away. That's the colonial dictum of the public sphere. That's why we have problems with our leaders. They come in poor, in 2 years they are very rich, and they go away, and some of them even say, like Kibagendi was told yesterday, I don't know whether you heard that phrase, Kibagendi was told he should be found in a forest. Did you hear somebody who said that? Because he contradicted a big man in government. So we have another program that is called enterprise development, where we say communities of people who are civic actors, can they make their own resources? Can they create their own wealth so that they don't have to rely on partners to become better? For example, people who are fighting in Mbombut forest, and I know KHRC and IMUL have got projects there. In Mbombut forest, what are their livelihoods? How can we have an enterprise that manages to help them with their livelihoods as they continue with the fight? Because this fight is going to be long. And we have another program which is called movement building. And in this program, like I mentioned, we connect all the other programs and project them to communities so that we connect and build together. So it is these people that we work with, ourselves, and the people that are civic actors, that we fashion the wellness program for. How do they become well when they are fighting and struggling every day amidst unresponsive systems, amidst problematic situations that they have to deal with in the country. So thank you very much, and welcome all of you. May we all participate in this journey. And my challenge is simple. As an individual, how do you embrace wellness? That is one. Number two, as an institution, how do you embrace wellness? Does this toolkit, and we want this toolkit to be a living document, does it speak to you? Are there some things that you can borrow and amplify, adapt, adopt, that become the avenues for you experiencing wellness? Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Kawive Wambua, who is the CEO of Inuka Kenya. And Kawive has also been in the civil society since 2004, and he's played an important role in the development, networking, as well as the expansion of the civil society space in Kenya. And this he also did while he was Chief Executive Officer at the Constitution and Reform Education Consortium, CRECO, as well as the Executive Officer at the Institute of Performing Arts, IPAL. So we are seeing the great impact and work. Makofi kwa Kawive. Makofi, 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 makofi. All right, and now I would request for us to be putting down our questions in case we have any, in case we would like to comment on this program. Please put it down, because we're going to be having a plenary session. But for now, I'm going to be asking a question. I'm throwing this, so this is a plenary that is planned. So I'm going to be asking one of our actors, and we've seen her a lot. We've seen the rising cases of femicide in Kenya, and we've seen women dying, and this has been such a trend in this country. And it's something that also we want to fight, even as we fight for women's rights. So, Njeri, I know that you do very amazing work with usikimie. Why you? Why not? Why not? Kwa sababu hatutaki ukimie. So, yes, we want to know, especially with the high rates of femicide in the country, how does a program like this impact the work you do, especially for women and with the organization at Usikimie?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Njeri, and I have to say I am one of the beneficiaries of Inuka. During Mandamano, the protest, and the women that were raped, Salima reached out to me the day after, and she told me, Njeri, you look like the world is on your shoulders. What can Inuka do for you? And they came and they picked me, and I got debriefed together, and I actually got a spa treatment. Anyway, that's it. That isn't what. Imagine, clap for Inuka. Because as a frontliner, you don't understand the kind of grief we carry, the kind of burden we shoulder. And for somebody to just tell you, give me your burden for a little bit, I help you carry it, is the most important thing somebody can do for you at that time. And so for me, Inuka is actually a very much needed we need the wellness as HRD. We need the wellness as frontliners. We need help, because most of the time people in the streets, HRDs, we're largely ignored. Nobody looks at the effort of the work that you do. But when you have somebody telling you, hey, sit down, let's debrief you. Sit down, let's go dance Zumba. Sit down, let's see how we can make you feel better about the work so that you know you're not alone. So this is an initiative that is very needed. And as you have said, we have escalating cases of femicide. As of yesterday, I was counting 4 women died in Naivasha, 2 women died in Meru, and I was just counting how many deaths as a country women are going through, and the fact that most of us are not talking about it, most of us are not looking at this as the crisis that it is. Femicide is an actual crisis, and we need to know that there are people out here shouldering this burden, and we need all of you to come together, because gender-based violence and femicide is not going to end until all of us combined together, come together to end this. And one of the initiatives is Inuka by giving us wellness. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Njeri, for the work that you do as well, and also for programs like this for wellness for our civic actors. Makofi, 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 Makofi. Hey, okay, let's start again. Makofi, 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 Makofi. So that is Njeri from Usikimie, and she's given us a bit of how wellness is important to civic actors, and especially frontliners. And we've seen so many examples, so I will not belabor, but it's great to have somebody in the room who can even have the courage to speak spontaneously on wellness. Thank you so much, Njeri, for that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will move to our keynote speaker of the day. And the keynote speaker will be speaking on centering self and collective care, advancing holistic wellness for civic actors. And I will just give a disclaimer that our keynote speaker is here in her individual capacity and in her professional capacity as well. So we thank you so much for that. She's Dr. Catherine Wanjiku Waweru, who is a psychiatrist. Karibu sana Daktari Wanjiku, excuse me, Catherine Wanjiku Waweru, and she's a psychiatrist. Makofi, 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 Makofi. Karibu.
Thank you. Good morning. What are the smiles? I'm giving you my smile. You know, a smile can heal. All right. My name is, yes, thank you, Jerry. My name is Dr. Anjiko Aweru, and I also have other titles to me, but I'm just wowed by the great work that Inuka is doing. I've just been whispering. Actually, if you see, I've just been leaning to my, sorry, I'm not leaning to your side. She came late, but we've been also talking, but I've been leaning to my left like this. I'm almost going to get torticollis because I'm really wowed by the work that Inuka is doing. Thank you so much, Inuka, for being the safe space, for being the care for the carer. As you can see, when we're seeing the skits, everyone kept saying that they are so thankful you gave them a platform where they could share, where they felt listened to, where they felt that there's someone who cares for them. Everyone likes being felt cared for. And I was just there, just mesmerized and saying, do you know, if no one has told you, please pick your flowers. You're doing great work. You are actually making those people who are tough, the people we deem tough, the people who are voicing issues for others, you're making them feel listened to, you're creating a safe space for them, and don't stop doing that. And don't stop making them being felt. And they are very thankful for you, as Njeri highlighted. You're meeting them at their point of need, which is quite well. And let's clap for them for that. Let's appreciate them. I don't know how to do the Makofi. 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 I'm a good student, aren't I? All right. And today we are going to talk about, definitely talking about the toolkit, which is talking about the care, that is self-care, healing, and resilience. But allow me to start by saying that just as Dr. was saying, we have national mental wellness at workplace guidelines, and in that we advocate for healthy workplace, whether in informal or formal. Yes, kazi ya mtu inaweza kuwa wapi? Mama kibanda kazi yake ni wapi? Kwa kibanda. Anyone who's employed, your work can be at the office. There's someone else who's doing online. Their work is at the online, right? So despite your workplace, you need to actually indulge into ways where you can work on your mental wellness. And that is like that because we knew how your mental wellness builds into your mental health. You know that. So, and our mental health, your mental health can not only affect you, but it'll affect the person next to you. So we were quite cognizant that your mental health cannot affect only you, but the others you work with, whether you're in the formal or informal sector. So one thing that I would like to actually recognize is that in NUCA, you've done one of the steps. One of the steps is coming up with a mental wellness program, which you have. And we were striving for that because when you have a program, you'll ensure you're taking care of the people that are under your program. Yes, we've been talking here about wellness in action. The key word here is in action. You may want something, but until you decide to do something, that's the time you can take it over. Yeah? We have seen this is a safe space even for the CEO. He's been vulnerable to tell us that he's cognizant that he's not been practicing he's actually indulging in unhealthy ways of working towards his mental wellness, working till late night. You know, sleep is important. Have you ever met someone who has not slept? They'll be grumpy. They will not even afford a smile. The whole day they just feel there's something they're missing. So, but one thing CEO kutuambia, utaacha ama utaacha. That's why we came up with this toolkit. Now this toolkit is going to show you, yes, this toolkit is going to show us how, as an individual, you're supposed to actually put that into action. Are you acting on it? Now you've come up with a guide that will really help you. What am I supposed to do there to actually work on my wellness? In our program, we really key on the 3 strategies. That is promotion of mental wellness, prevention of mental illness, and support and care. I may not be having a mental health condition, so I'm supposed to work towards promoting it and preventing, right? But what if I have a mental health condition? Because some of the conditions are genetic, right? I'm not going to be left behind. You have said we are all Nisisi. Nisisi is everyone, yeah? Inclusivity, which we're working on. So also we need to support and care for the ones that are already having mental health conditions. So in that, as we are working towards our mental wellness, which in essence works towards our mental health, we were going to be building on our resilience. Resilience is that power to ability to bounce back. In life, there is ups and downs. We're not always going to have good times. There are bad times. There are things that can happen into our lives. We can all experience loss. Loss not only of life, but work, right? So by working into our mental wellness, we are building into our resilience. That ability to be able to bounce back, that ability to be able to stand in the face of adversity. That is what helps us and guides us as we are trying to work into our mental wellness. And let me just tell you something, which we are going to see in our next slide when you're being taken through the toolkit. I had to go through the toolkit. We have different types of resilience, and I'm going to key in 4, but can I tell you, this toolkit is quite extensive. Good work. It has really gone into trying to break down and using language that we can actually realize. Talked of emotional, physical, social, mental, and even financial. We know financial difficulties can lead to issues, right or not? Yes? Yes. We know that we need each other. I need you, you need me, because when I am facing my issues, when I am going through something, I need a shoulder to lean on. And we have seen Inuka has been a shoulder to lean on to many of us, right? So we really need to strive to actually work on our mental wellness because we are building into our resilience. And mental health is a right that everyone should experience. And it's a decision you should make. It's a personal responsibility. We've been saying right now, as an individual, you have that responsibility. And with that responsibility, it has been really stipulated here. It has really been done. Yes, we are telling you, you have the personal responsibility of working on your wellness. How do you go about it? We talk about self-care. Do you know not everyone can be able to know how to do self-care? But it's something we practice every day. So this toolkit has really tried to break down what is that so that you understand. That aspect of waking up, ensuring that you have showered and you're looking good. Do you know that's a form of self-care? Yes? Yes. When you feel good and dress, how do you walk? You even see, you feel, and then say, hi, Salima, how do you look? You look good. You feel good, even when someone smiles at you. You realized when the MC walked towards Njeri, and she's called Njeri, and then she recognized what she does. She even herself, she radiated with a smile. Even when she was talking about the spa treatment, we could even imagine, I could imagine that spa day, how it felt. What am I saying? Even how you're talking to the person who's next to you and how you relate to them. If you really taken time to invest in your mental wellness, you'll be in a position to radiate that to others. You'll be in a position to listen to the person who wants to be listened to. You'll be in a position to offer that shoulder. So it's upon you to really strive to actually do what works for you. There's something you're going to see in this toolkit. Don't compare. How I do my self-care is not you. So don't compare. So first, when one of our participants said that she liked that they were all in their rooms, do you know what that helped them? It helped them to sit down and just have a meeting with yourself. You're just sitting. I can imagine. She was just in her room saying, okay, maybe she called herself, I'll call myself Shiko when I'm not at work. So say, hey, Shiko, you've come here, I'll feel relaxed, I'll start reflecting on the day, I'll start knowing, okay, what can I, you'll start discovering yourself. So in essence, if someone else and asks you, Shiko, what do you enjoy doing? I'll be in a position to tell you what I really enjoy doing as a person and what I know of. That space of being able to know yourself. So first of all, don't just say you know yourself. Do you know yourself? Do you know yourself? Do you know what you like doing? Do you know what you don't like doing? I can see heads, but some people don't know. They have not answered. So, but I'm not asking you to answer. That's a question you'll answer by yourself. So try, first of all, to know you, to know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and also to extend that grace that you extend to others, extend to yourself. When something happens, when you make mistakes, don't be hard on yourself. Try and sit down and analyze, because that's also part of self-care. You're giving yourself that. You're extending that grace. The grace that you extend to others, extend to yourself. Yes. So be in a position to know that you can make mistakes. You learn from your mistakes. And what next? What can I do? And if those mistakes were part of offending the others, please strive your very best to do what? To extend that grace to them and apologize. We are human. I can come here and I say something that is offending someone else. If I get to learn of it, a simple sorry or explanation will go. But the same way you extend the grace to others, please make sure that you also extend it to yourself. We are also the people who make the organization. So as an organization, we have a responsibility, don't we have? So just know that this toolkit is inclusive and it's getting to tell us what can we do as an individual, as an organization, to create that good environment where all of us will flourish. When you're feeling good, you're also productive. You know, you can be somewhere and you're just there. Presentism. We talk about, in our policy, we also talk about presentism and absentism. Yes? Yes, I can be here, but my mind is not here. It's where? It's elsewhere. And there's something we've been talking about, peace, 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 peace. even from our anthem and even from our East African anthem. What we mean by peace is that calm culture where you feel good. You're in a position to you're just calm. Huh? Yeah, when you think of peace, we say, why? It's about calmness. Yes? So even that peace is a collective way of all of us. So this toolkit, as we have said, we have been told to make sure that it is lively. I can assure you have gone through it. It is well aligned by global policies and also our policy. As you can see, they were able to quote data. That data, they had to borrow from the global policies and also our policies. So let's strive to put it into live and to really work towards it. And don't ever, you're not going to read it once, even me, Tapata, once in a while you'll keep on going through it. Pick something, make it a conversation when you're meeting someone. When you learn something, make it upon yourself to go to someone and tell them, do you know something? Do you know what is wellness? You'll be surprised someone doesn't know. Do you know how you can, in essence, take care of yourself? Do you know, those conversations give an opportunity to someone else who might be going through something. The problem with mental health is not like physical. It's a very integral part of health, but it is not something that you can see. I can be smiling, but my smile is not a smile. Do you know that? Yes. So one of the things that we can strive to do is try and the way you would like for someone else to treat you, you treat them. And in essence, when you learn about something, try in your conversation to sneak it in. And always strive to treat people with empathy, how you'd like to be treated. And know that it is okay not to be okay. And when you're not okay, it's okay to ask for help, and it's not a sign of weakness. We saw there are various young men who said they got a platform where they were able to share. They were able to say they are vulnerable. They were able to actually talk about that. They were able to say, yes, we are deemed as tough, but we also need someone when we are tough. Cindy, I can see the looks people are giving me. I hope I... Yes. But in essence, I did not want to come and speak and read a lot because it's already here and we are going to have a presentation. What I'm trying to strive on is know that you have an individual responsibility. You also have, the individual speaks into the organizational. Cynthia, and remember that whatever you do will affect the person next to you. So strive very best to fill your cup so that you're not pouring from an empty cup, right? And you know that with every time you're meeting someone, even the ones that we deem tough, they also need a shoulder to lead on, and be that shoulder, be that safe space. And what another thing is, if you're not okay, it's okay to ask for help. And you know, when you turn your book, you'll see that, yeah, the toolkit went further to actually tell you where can you get that help. Yes, our mental health services are now being offered everywhere. And just know that when you go to the hospital, we have very abled specialists, and even if they're not specialists, we have come up with guidelines that enables even that clinical officer, that medical officer to start the services even before they refer you. And thank you so much. It's okay not to be. No health without mental health. No health without mental health. No health without mental health. It's okay. It's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay not to stay okay. So, and it's okay to ask for help and be the safe space. All right? Smiles, ndio nitoke hapa. Thank you so much.
You're going to be appreciated nicely. That was Dr. Catherine Wanjiko Waweru, who's a psychiatrist. She's our keynote speaker, and she was speaking on centering self and collective care, advancing holistic wellness for civil actors. So now we're going to appreciate her. When I say Karabanda, you clap 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Karabanda! Karabanda! When I say señorita, you clap 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Señorita. Let's try again. Señorita. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Señorita. Karabanda. Karabanda. Señorita. Now, Señorita, I would like you to stand so that we can appreciate you. And don't clap for yourself because we are clapping for you. All right, so that was our keynote speaker who spoke on centering self and collective care, advancing holistic wellness for civil actors, Dr. Catherine Wanjiko Waweru. Karabanda! Karabanda! Señorita! Karabanda! Karabanda! Señorita! Thank you so much. Thank you. And remember, our hashtag is Inuka Kenya, Wellness in Action. Kindly tweet something from what she said. It's okay to not be okay. And I'll just read something from this book, Step 10. So you can go through it in your own time. Step 10 is one of the final, actually it's the final step. It says, adopt and adapt. Adopt and adapt the wellness culture. This ensures that wellness is not a one-day initiative, but a way of life that changes with context and needs. So it's not a one-day thing, it's a way of life. So if you are not sleeping, you don't just, it's not a one-day thing, but it's a way of life. And it changes with context and needs. So this culture grows when everybody understands the importance of wellness, the roles are clear, feedback is encouraged, and mistakes are used as a learning tool, but not as a form of punishment. The wellness culture change takes time and patience. These steps can overlap or occur simultaneously depending on the organization or individual context. We encourage you to think of the steps as a cycle. Periodically carry out a needs assessment, set goals, develop new plans, implement them, enjoy wellness, and monitor, evaluate, and learn. The journey of wellness is a lifetime one. Makofi, Makofi, Makofi. Hey, class, we forgot the first one. Nimewambia mbili tu. Haya, Makofi, Makofi, Makofi. All right, that's amazing. We'll move to the presentation of the toolkit now, which I just read a snippet of. And this will be done by our consultant, who is Oyoko Odhiambo. Oyoko began his career as a communications officer, but progressed into program development, management, and administration. He's worked for the Constitution of Kenya Review Commission and the Committee of Experts on Constitutional Review in Kenya. He has experience and proven success in project proposal writing and implementation with various organizations such as UNDP, Mkeni wa Kenya, Akiba Uhaki, GIZ, Embassies of the Netherlands and Finland, British High Commission, USAID, Uraia, and many other. He has also consulted on development and humanitarian projects, mainly for clients in Somalia and northeastern Kenya and in south central Somalia. He's been involved in various project activities such as WASH, food relief, cash for work, and medical assistance. And he's currently an independent consultant for various corporates, national and international NGOs in Kenya on governance, democracy, and human rights. And he is also one of the committee members of the Women Collective Kenya. Kindly help me to welcome Oyoko Odhiambo on stage, who will be doing the presentation of the toolkit. Makofi, 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 Makofi. Karibu sana, Oyoko.
Good morning. That introduction was not approved by me. I don't know where Salma got it from because I don't recognize it at all. So good morning, everyone. So I was I'm very honored to have been part of this part of the team that developed this toolkit. It was a collective effort by many other actors. Including, of course, the INUCA staff and colleagues from the region, Uganda and Tanzania, who are acknowledged in the document. And so I was also touched by the testimony about the having your own room. I remember during our formative years, we used to be, when you're doing our activism, because I've been here quite a bit, we used to share rooms. It was sometimes the practice for whatever reason, and it used to bring a lot of issues because you have two adults who have different habits and different approaches to life, and you put them together for 3-4 days in a room. So I think this also illustrates that the core point of this approach, this toolkit, is sometimes some of the things that we need to do are things that are really everyday things. They're not like really big things, but are things that I think at no cost, just changing our culture, changing our mindset, and doing the simple things. And this can go a long way. So sometimes when you look at wellness, we think it's very resource intensive, very it requires a lot of things. But sometimes it's just the simple things that make a difference in our lives rather than the big things. So I think sometimes just sorting out the minor things goes a long way. I think that was, for me, a perfect illustration of the whole approach we've taken in terms of developing this toolkit. The second thing I'd like to say is, so we're talking about a toolkit which is designed as a very simple, hopefully, simple and adaptable guide, but also as a living document. It's not cast in stone, and I think there's still room for further review as organizations trying to implement it. How do we improve on it? Does it work? What are the various inputs that we need to put? What are the approaches that we need to develop? And we've also tried to make it as contextual as possible for given our context as civic actors in East Africa, because this is for Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, as I understand it. And then also, we are looking at the three core areas of, as I understand it, the wellness initiative is care, healing, and resilience. So what does care look like for civic actors? Because this is specifically for civic actors, looking at their unique needs, looking at their unique context and other issues. Also looking at healing, because we also recognize that as civic actors, we've undergone quite a number of trauma or issues that are historical, that are generational. So how do we also address, and even the things that we encounter in our daily work as civic actors, the kind of trauma that we experience, with its primary trauma or secondary trauma, some of them have to go to respond to emergencies, go to the morgue, go to other things. So how do you also look at, how do we also approach healing? And also looking at resilience, what capacities do we need to build, what capacities do we need to leverage on, and what capacities do we need to scale up? Because we also, one of the things we realize that civic actors, we have initiatives in terms of wellness that we undertake on an ongoing basis, but these are not formalized, these are not scaled up, and these are not replicated. So how do you also leverage on ongoing wellness initiatives that we have? How do we build our capacity in terms of wellness, but also how do you also learn across civic actors and across institutions? So why the toolkit? I wish this light could be turned off because I can't see my screen. Is it possible to turn off the light? Yeah, so why do we, what is the basis of developing the toolkit? So one of the issues in terms of wellness, and when you talk about wellness, you're talking about wellness in a holistic way, not just, yes, that's fine. In a holistic way is the realization that the wellness challenges that civic actors face result in issues around burnout, talent loss, and reduced effectiveness. Because part of the reason why we are focusing on wellness is so that then the civic actors are able to operate in a way that ensures that we are able to effectively do the work that we do in terms of creating change and transforming our societies without paying an unsustainable price for it. So we're looking at, if you look at even in terms of sustainability, sustainability of the impact of our work can only be underpinned if our civic actors are able to address some of the day-to-day wellness challenges that they face. The wellness kit will look at what are the strategies and tools that we can use to provide care, healing, and resilience. And then the other thing is looking at wellness. Well-being now is when you practice wellness, well-being now the state that you want to be at, and looking at it as a core value rather than something that is a by the way. Because sometimes I think one of the things we noticed was many of us as civic actors, we tend to look at wellness as a by the way, rather than as a core way of addressing, of working, of doing our work. Some of the things is the culture of self-sacrifice. I think many of us, when you are starting, that was a badge of honor, right? If you're suffering, then that's very acceptable. We don't even, we focus more on the communities that we serve on society rather than focusing on ourselves. And so being arrested, being detained was seen as a badge of honor and seen as something that was what identified you as a legitimate actor. Then also looking at collective resilience as civic actors, how do we, like I talked about, what are the wellness strategies, the norms and the supportive environments that we can build. But ultimately also strengthening the movements by making care as a key, centering care as key as the other outcomes. And some of us, when you're doing our programs, when you're doing the indicators, we do a lot of indicators, but we don't put wellness as one of the indicators because we don't think that's a core thing. But we also want to see, can we also center issues around wellness at one of the core outcomes of the work that we do, rather than the work of delivering to our communities or transforming societies. Investing in wellness is investing in civil society as a whole. So in terms of developing the toolkit, we used, in terms of our methodology, so we were guided by lived experience, suggestions, and of civic actors in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. So we spoke to some of the civic actors in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, because this toolkit is for the region. Then one of the key things was to ensure that the tool is contextually relevant to us in our region, and that is useful and usable. So I think that would be the feedback we'd be expecting from you. Do we really achieve that? But we really try to ensure that it's relevant to the context in which you operate. So we spoke to various actors in the region. And then the other issue which I also talked about was to make it cost-effective, adaptable, and replicable. Sorry. So in doing this, we looked at INUCA carried out a needs assessment, a survey, a baseline survey for wellness of civic actors in East Africa, and I think it's available on your website. You can look at it. And we also looked at other documents. Like I said, we had a series of consultative meetings with actors across the region. And also we had validation meetings with actors across the region, but also in Kenya here. And some of the people who participated, I can see them here. Yeah, so why the toolkit? Like I said, we want to provide a practical and adaptable framework to support wellness and well-being of civic actors in East Africa. It is designed to be simple, easy to use, actionable, and non-prescriptive. And We're also talking about approaches for support, promotion, as Dr. Wanjiku talked about, prevention and protection of civic actor wellness to address the unique challenges that they face. And we'll go to the challenges in a few. And then the toolkit is anchored on a human rights-based approach, empowering civic actors to claim their right to health, including mental health. And we're also looking at wellness as a shared responsibility between the civic actors as individuals, but also the institutions. So we're looking at, even as civic actors as individuals, how do we practice self-care? And this has been mentioned before, but also institutions, do we provide the supportive environment to enable wellness? And then it's also important to point out that this is a living document and it's open to review and inputs further down the line. So in terms of wellness, we adopt that definition, which is wellness is a state of being healthy and or the actions that promote it. Okay. So the WHO defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. We're looking at wellness holistically. So we're not just looking at the mental health aspect of it, but you're looking at all the aspects of wellness. And so the key components, one is mental wellness. How do we cope with how do we cope with stress, and how do we also realize our full potential? Physical wellness, looking at physical activity, how we eat, usually around sleep. Emotional wellness, how do we cope with life and build relationships with the people around us. Social wellness, developing a sense of connection, belonging, and support system. Environmental, occupying pleasant and stimulating environments, and also spiritual. And if you're able to go to the baseline survey, you'll see in terms of how civic actors rated their wellness in terms of many of these aspects. So the toolkit, looking at this aspect, we also looked at how the civic actors prioritize some of the issues. So in terms of the background, civic actors often lack access to wellness resources, not only mental health resources, but wellness resources generally. And this leads to poor outcomes. Looking at issues around burnout, looking at issues around substance abuse, anxiety, suicide ideation, and many health issues that we face as a consequence of our work. And so, if you look at, for example, this is captured in detail in the actual toolkit, but I'm just, for example, the estimates. Some of the estimates look say around 15% of people have a mental health condition in East Africa. So the mental health situation is very grave across the region. Then I think more importantly, as civic actors, we face unique pressures. Cindy, how many agree with that? Civic actors, do we face, Fred, do we face unique pressures? Yeah. So, and we all know that the challenging political climate, the state violence, repression, but even in the context of the economic situation, and this came out across the region, then the difficult nature of agitating for social justice and human rights, the profiling, the isolation, social isolation, and many other issues. The gap, I think this is the core, is that many of us as organizations don't prioritize wellness. And part of the problem is simply lack of knowledge, lack of even acknowledgement that it is an issue, lack of resources, lack of ways in which to coordinate the intervention. So most of the time, for those who have resources, the approaches to wellness is really episodic, is really, is not a very conscious effort. So you might find, for example, people say, tunataka kwenda wellness, sindio? Sindio? So you're taken to an exotic location for 3-4 days, and then that's it. So I think there's an unmet need in terms of how do we organize around wellness? How do we approach wellness? And this toolkit hopefully addresses that need. So we're looking at how do we prioritize operational wellness to create a more supportive environment in order to have a more productive, sustainable, and sustainable civic sector. Yeah, so in terms of the scope of the toolkit, there are 4 areas. So one is support civic actors and the organizations. And like Dr. Wanjiku said, we are talking about both formal and informal workspaces. So we realize that there's a whole, in terms of civic actors, there's a whole, it's a wide spectrum. So there are large formal organizations with fairly advanced systems and procedures, but you're also looking at informal networks. We are looking at small CBOs. We are looking at all the gamut of organizations. So some of the civic actors are very informal, including even WhatsApp groups. Those are also civic actors who are organized. Sindio? Yeah. So we are also looking at in the WhatsApp groups. Are you also able to develop wellness strategies? So from the very informal organizations to the sort of big, more resourced, more formal organizations who have systems. So we've tried to make the tool as flexible as possible so that any of those within that spectrum are able to adapt. So then also we're looking to promote and support and sustain holistic, appropriate and collective wellness for civic actors in all their diversity, and look at how we map the civil actors in their diversity and the suggested approaches. And then also we are also looking to how to help civic actors with the existing or emerging wellness challenges to access care. Remember I talked about care at the beginning as one of the core approaches. And then promote institutional mainstreaming of wellness through policy integration, recognize that health and social support are essential. Looking at how do we integrate, because integration is very key to this toolkit, because we're also looking at how to leverage existing resources. Yeah, so who are the civic actors that we keep on talking about? And this is adapted from the ENUCA definition. So civic actors are individuals, and I think there are many other ways in which there are many other terms we use, but I think for the purpose of this toolkit, this is how we've characterized them. So these are individuals or groups within civil society who work to drive societal change through strategies like policy influence, social justice, advocacy, and service provision. So, like I said, they operate in diverse spaces, from large formal NGOs, I think now they're called PBOs, to CBOs, social movements, community groups, but individual civic actors could be full-time employees, could be volunteers, could be people who call themselves activists or community organizers. So this categorization from ENUCA in terms of civic catalyzing, these are people who empower and mobilize communities. People who, for example, do civic education, community organizing. Then there are civic veterans. Those are experienced actors who provide. These are people who have been quite around the block for a long time, like me, I think. Then also we have civic thinkers, intellectuals who contribute ideas and shape advocacy, but also civic supporters. Those who provide maybe backroom support to civic actors. But it also be pointed out that these categories are not in silos. You might be in more than one category, but this is just, I think, for reference purposes only. Yeah. So in terms of the core principles of wellness initiatives, one is This is also in terms of safeguarding, do no harm, and trauma-informed care. Like I said, remember one of the core things was healing. So recognizing that civic actors undergo trauma and or have undergone trauma and still have the effects might be still ongoing. So providing a safe and empowering environment, looking at issues around healing, around addressing trauma. Then also intersectionality, inclusivity, and participatory approaches. Access to wellness initiatives for all, but also ensuring that sometimes oppression and sometimes some of these challenges manifest differently, depending on issues around class, gender, and that kind of thing. But also recognizing the diversity of civic actors. Then also ensuring that as you develop now the toolkits, you are able to involve civic actors in the core design. So we're expecting that the particular organizations or formations or networks, when you're doing the action plans, the wellness action plans, you are involving the internal stakeholders as well as the external stakeholders. Then culturally responsive and context specific. I spoke about this earlier. We are really responding to our the context in which we are in terms of East Africa. Then also, just go back, please. No, I just go ahead to the next slide. I think there's one more. I'm trying to look for it here. Yeah, so centering alternative approaches and holistic care. So one of the things we were very keen on was to look at what are the other approaches that are non-conventional in terms of promoting wellness, because we were avoiding, this word always gives me problems, pathologization, looking at it, and I'll explain that in a few, but looking at care and healing and resilience in a holistic manner. So we also did mapping, looking at what are the factors that affect wellness of civic actors, and this I think would be very familiar to many of us. So looking at one of the social and political environment. So looking at the instability, the personal attacks, the arrests, and that kind of thing, and then also the operational factors. How do we work internally, and so. The work-life balance that Kawiva is having challenges in, leading to burnout, looking at, yes. Also looking at around, especially when you look at the mental health aspect of wellness, looking at issues around stigma that prevents help-seeking behavior. Then also we're looking at personal individual factors, and we'll come back, we'll look at this in detail. So, so for example, many of us depend on external funding. So, almost 100%, and that comes with a lot of challenges when the funding environment is not certain. So even the employment and employment issues, looking at financial insecurity, and if you look at the baseline survey that was done, that was one of the key elements in contributing to affecting wellness of civil actors was the financial aspect, financial insecurity, lack of proper long-term employment, pension, that kind of thing. Yeah, so in terms of the operational risks that civic actors face, which has an impact on their wellness, we mapped out quite and categorized them. So that the legal and judicial, so harassment, criminalization, and restrictive laws. And we've seen that, I think we are very familiar in Kenya with that. Then also physical security and safety, attacks, surveillance, arbitrary arrests. Then financial and operational. So like I talked about funding cuts and certain funding environment, issues around compliance, the new laws, the PBOs and the Community-Based Organization Act. Then also looking at digital and information security, is around hacking, looking at is around cyberbullying, disinformation, and then also psychological and reputational, psychosocial and reputational issues around stigma, burnout, profiling, social isolation. So in terms of the toolkit, we identify some of the foundational aspects that we thought would be critical when you're doing a wellness action plan, because ultimately what we want to achieve is this toolkit should help you to develop your organizational wellness action plans, and we'll come to that towards the end. So there are quite a number. So one is leadership, commitment, and culture. We recognize that in order to, because issues around wellness are fairly new things, so how do we change? How do we have that shift from episodic or even lack of attention to wellness, and have a situation where wellness is seen as a critical issue? And also looking at creating safe spaces within organizations where wellness can be wellness initiatives can be undertaken. And one of the things was we need to have a commitment from leaders of institutions. Then the other aspect is mainstreaming inclusivity and equity practices. So we should recognize the diversity of civic actors. And also as we develop the action plans, we also look at the diversity of the actors. Then what are the support and response systems? So how can we create or leverage existing systems? And in this toolkit, as you are told, we have, for example, in terms of mental health, we have a list of the resources available from the government, but also how can we also develop capacity? So for example, issues around psychological first aid, which is a very simple, fairly simple capacity to build within organizations, a very simple training. I'm sure the mental health practitioners would agree with me. So how do we also create that? And then also look at non-conventional approaches, like I said, not only the conventional approaches, but look at the non-conventional approaches. Then also resource mobilization. So we've tried as much as possible to also highlight the strategies that you can implement at low cost or at no cost. So for example, having someone having their own room is something that is almost at no cost. But also look at in the long term, how do you also mobilize resources for wellness? Because many of us don't mobilize resources for wellness. Then also integration and mainstreaming. And this is critical because you're looking at, we don't want the wellness initiatives to operate in terms of silos, but you also want, how do you embed and entrench them into ongoing processes. So for example, many of the formal organizations who have policies and processes, so how do you mainstream wellness into those rather than having a wellness as a standalone initiative that is not integrated into the various organizations? So integration is very key in the wellness action plans. Then also wellness and roles and responsibility for wellness initiatives. How do you have people who are responsible for wellness within the organizations? And we're not talking about per se having new employees in charge of wellness, but how do you leverage your existing employees or members or whatever it is within your network who would be in charge of wellness? That's why we're talking about focal persons and champions rather than wellness officers, because you also recognize sometimes it may be very difficult to have the funding to employ people, but how do you assign maybe somebody within the organization to be responsible for that? And then also monitoring and evaluation. So yeah, we also need to understand how do we monitor progress, but also how do we monitor even the wellness outcomes. You look at, and in this toolkit we have at the end suggestions in terms of that. So one of the things that came out of the baseline survey was around burnout, stress levels, and workloads. So how do you also monitor that? Then also prevention and promotion, and this is very important. This is actually the most cost-effective thing is prevention and promotion in terms of wellness. So how do you take proactive measures to promote wellness within your organizations among your civic actors? Then also issues around psychological safety and confidentiality. So are people free to engage in wellness, and if some of the issues that might come out might be confidential issues, so how do you also ensure confidentiality? Because some of the issues that might come out might require a bit of sensitivity. Yeah, so this is now to the core of it. How do we move towards developing wellness plans? Because ultimately, this is what we want. We're hoping all of us can be able to do. The first step is conducting a participatory wellness needs assessment. Each organization is, as much as we have a shared context, but each organization has its own unique challenges. So how do you find out the particular needs, gather the data on, for example, stress levels, the working environment, and that kind of thing. So that's the first step is participatory wellness needs assessment for each organization, and we've attached a suggestion at the end of this document that you can use. It's not cast in stone, but you can tailor it to your particular organization. Then secondly, collectively also look at what are your wellness goals as a civic actors, as organizations. So that will be up to the particular organization to identify what are your wellness goals, and this should be a collective exercise. Then the third is now to develop the wellness action plan, and we have a matrix at the end of this document, which we've tried to make as simple as possible. Then how do you ensure stakeholder engagement and buy-in? And the stakeholders are both the internal stakeholders, which are your members, staff, whatever it is, and also the external stakeholders that you might want to engage, and also mapping out the various stakeholders. Then which are the particular strategies? These strategies will arise from the wellness needs assessment. So you might look at the short-term strategies, long-term strategies, which are your immediate needs, and then also look at the resources. So what are the particular resources? And we stress as much as possible leverage on the strategies, that because we realize that many civic actors might not have the resources available for wellness initiative per se. So can you also look at leverage on the existing resources in the short term as you look for more long-term funding or resources? Then also now go ahead and implement the plan and enjoy the plan, right? Yeah, so we also want you to enjoy the wellness, so it should not be a source of stress in itself. Then also have tools for monitoring and learning. This is crucial because I think this should be a very steep learning landscape for many of us. Feedback from your stakeholders, your staff, and others. And then adopt and adapt the wellness culture. How do you make wellness a critical aspect of your organizational culture rather than being episodic? In conclusion, yeah, so we look at wellness as a critical imperative for the social change work that we do. So it's not an extra but it is pivotal and strategic. If our work has to be sustainable, then we need to move from isolated interventions to comprehensive and sustainable ecosystem of care rather than just doing episodic interventions. And wellness is, if we institutionalize well-being, it should be a core pillar for effective social change work that we do. Investing in wellness for civic actors is an investment in the future of civil society and the pursuit of a more just society. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was our consultant, Oyoko Odhiambo. We are going to karabanda him. Do you remember how to karabanda someone? Oyoko, would you like to stand so that we can acknowledge and karabanda you for that very great toolkit presentation? Karabanda! Karabanda! Signora! Karabanda! Karabanda! For Oyoko! Thank you so much. That was our consultant. And right after now, we are going to be moving to the plenary session. So I hope you have things to say about what has been presented here, what has been said the whole day. It could be questions, it could be comments, it could be the work that you're doing when it comes to wellness in your organization. But as you prepare for that, I will just request Alan to give me a number that we can ease into as we are coming into our plenary session. And kindly feel free to engage with this song for you to feel the wellness in this room. Walk around, say hi to someone, get to know what they're doing. You can get up, you can dance. So I will not give you a guideline, but I'm just telling you that enjoy. We've not just come here to sit and, and eat and get to know someone. Alan, give me some volume as well so that people can enjoy the music and hear. Na yebaki suka siku tingamai yangai na mobali nangai pantalo mokaba mama tobalana tosuki sabilo belango ya bato ikwela yangai na sheri zukalilitama na yebaki suka siku tingamai yangai na mobali nangai pantalo mokaba mama tobalana tosuki sabilo belango ya bato ikwela yangai na sheri zukalilitama. Hey, Women Collective Kenya. They know how to ease into this. Ruth Mombi. Hey. Muziki bila jasho. Slowly like that. Na yebaki suka siko tingamai yangai na mobali nangai pantalo mokaba mama tobalana tosuki sabilo belango ya bato ikwela yangai na sheri zukalilitama. Do you want to help me sing? Gaidaya oh na yeri komo yambandate oh yangaidaya oh lipalango ya bombandate ae oh gaidaya oh na yeri komo yambandate oh yangaidaya oh lipalangoyo bombandate ae. Lipalayangai na mobali dangai mama eh. Napika dala polo bako napiko oh. Batangangai mama batikala na sonyo oh. Bakanangai mama batikala likombe oh. Oh ngai na ya oh. Na yeli kombo yambandate oh yangai na ya oh. Lipalangoyo bombandate ae. Lipalayo eketengo sango mama. Bajona baratio nouvelle yangaina ye. Batikate balebetika kabatongo oh. Batikate balebetika kabafinga kangai. Gaina ya na yebi kombo yambandate oh yangaina ya. Lipalangoyo bombandate ae. Hey. All right, I hope you've been able to ease, have a session, get to know someone, relax, enjoy, just be in the moment. Just be in the moment. So now I can request us to get back to the serious program. We can get back on our seats. So that we can be able to continue with the rest of the wellness program. Tafadhali naomba kwamba turudie viti vyetu, turudi kuketi chini ili tuweze kuendelea na ratiba yetu ya leo ambayo tunazungumzia uzima wa kimwili, uzima na afya. Tunazungumzia uzima na afya bora, uzima na afya bora wa kimwili, uzima na afya bora wa kiakili, wa kisaikolojia kwa kazi ambayo tunafanya haswa kama wanaharakati. Kwa hiyo ningeomba kwanza tuweze kurudi kwa viti vyetu ili tuweze kuendelea na ratiba yetu. Kwa wale ambao bado wako katika harakati za uzima za kiafya na kimwili, ningeomba kwamba tukae chini. Tutakuwa na muda wakati mwingine ambapo tutaweza kuendelea na hafla hii ya kuweza kuwa na uzima wa kiafya wa kimwili, wa kuweza kujuana. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We will now continue with our program and we'll do a plenary. So I will take 2 to 3 comments and then we'll be able to proceed to our next item. And I can already see a hand. Tumpigie makofi jamani for opening the floor.
Asante sana na nashukuru sana na ninafurahia Kiswahili chako. Ningependa sana kuendelea na hiyo lugha lakini so I'd just like to say I really needed to come to this meeting. And just knowing that there's a toolkit, that there's a space, a safe space where civic actors can come, have a community, be supported, support each other, heal, build resilience, it's really, really powerful. I've been in this sector for a very long time. I have suffered burnout and I've interacted with many other leaders who've suffered burnout and trauma and all that. But there's really not been a deliberate effort or space where people can actually just come and feel safe, to be seen, to be heard, to heal, to have tools and all that. So this is like within this space, the first, and guys, if you could just please appreciate Inuka for this effort, please. And I feel like this is also really one of the most pivotal steps within the civil society space that we are establishing this. At Emerging Leaders Foundation, we have incorporated bits and pieces of wellness and well-being in our leadership programming. It's really critical. I also see a gap somewhere and that is in the political space. So I'm challenging Inuka whether you also take this up, that we are targeting civic actors and then have a different intervention for political actors. Because what I've come to learn is that well-being leads to well-doing. Hurt people hurt other people. And a lot of times when we see lots of conflicts and violence and all that stuff, that is the only sort of resort to action in the political space. It's because people are wounded, and maybe there's no space where they can go and be vulnerable, be courageous to say, I need help, I need support, and all that. So if Inuka, you will not do that, if you can identify another actor in the space to take up that would really, really be great. And I also see such a big nexus between human rights and the political economy. And one of the things I would like to, the Oyoko, the consultant, mentioned about the ecosystem. There's the Global Health Summit, which is all about global wellness and well-being for individuals, actors, leaders, and institutions. The summit was actually supposed to be happening, the global summit was to happen in Kenya end of this month at NTM Sidai. Then it was postponed to the first quarter of next year. So I would love to make the connection so that you also build synergies. And then there's also the Wellbeing Project, which is a project put together by 7 global entities, including learning institutions, philanthropies, funders, to basically just support leaders to heal, to be able to foster empathy, compassion, wellness, and well-being in the institutions they lead at a global space. They've been doing this work, they're based in Spain, they've been doing this work for over 10 years, so they have lots of research data that they've gathered, and I would also like to make the connection between you and them, so that then you can also build synergies and see what you can do together to take this forward. But from me, thank you so much. This is such an important step. God bless you.
Thank you. My name is Davis Malombe, Executive Director, Kenya Human Rights Commission. I take this chance to congratulate Inuka for this toolkit. Just a few observations. First, I think this toolkit brings new perspectives, and it's also separating the notions we have been having about security and safety from wellness and well-being. So that element has been missing in the support system we are supposed to be giving to our members in the movement. I am privileged to have been working with the people who have been in this struggle from the Mau Mau to Nyaos and the current generation, and I've seen how people become abandoned and how they struggle with social and economic well-being. Actually, right now, this is even something we are supposed to do for the Mau Mau or Veteran Association, to ensure they are also protected and they are also supported. So just to also bring the elements I've been advancing, and Kaiva and I have been discussing this issue about this struggle is a lifetime journey. So there's nothing called intergenerational transition. It is cross-generational. So which means then once you get into this space, a lot of other people will join up to the time you exit. So which means then there has to be a plan for supporting people for a long time. So this kind of thinking is very timely. So for example, the Gen Zs who join the Swango next year, no, they have to be ready to be there up to through the next 8 years. So this journey has no exit route. Yeah, so it's a build-up from Mau Mau to Nyaos to everyone. And so now we are in phase 4 of the Swango. So this kind of thinking is part of what then gives the support system to the defenders. And I've also liked this idea of civic actors. 2 weeks ago, I participated in a meeting which was hosted by Ford Foundation and Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. And one of the things which we noted is that there are so many actors in the movement who don't want to be called human rights defenders because, like the digital people, they are just doing advocacy as a way of life. So they don't want to be associated with institutions, with all these kind of things. So we agree they are going to be called civic actors. So now with that kind of categorization, it means then there have to be a different ways of supporting people and beyond the normal protection mechanism, which is about human rights defenders. Because now people are doing things at their own will. So with that kind of situation, however, how do we ensure their wellness? because now this is a different generation, and it's also a different ways of doing this kind of business. So this kind of group also require now different ways of support, and I think this is one of the best ways of addressing this. I see two elements and components of wellness missing, Kawive, and one of them I'll pick from the first speaker, the political wellness. I think it's also something we need to deal with, because our country is driven by politics, and the way politics are mismanaged ends up therefore affecting the mental, the physical, the emotional, and of course the question of the medical wellness is also very critical, and it's also some of the things which are also important, especially for human rights defenders and civic actors who are not institutionalized. They fall sick, and then there's also no way of supporting them medically. Then finally, just to say, I think this approach Inuka has introduced of creating refreshing social moments, like the event we hosted with you last week, and you have been doing this Wellness Wednesday, where we just meet, we dance, we feel good, no agitation, eh? Oliver, hakuna nyimbo za mapambano in that. So it's just, you have just, unachapa dun zumba, ligala, you know, as we are not used to that kind of life, eh? We are too political, we are too activist. Every time we want to start an event, lazima kuwa na wimbo ya mapambano, kila kitu, sijui, viva, auto, where you need to find ways of now calming down. So this is actually what this kind of approach is also, calling out to, creating different moments. You have special feelings as civic actors. So I think sustain that, and I think we need to find ways of doing it on a quarterly basis, where it becomes like a form of political fellowship, where we just touch base. Oliver, tafutia resources, hakuna agenda. There's no program. At now there has to be action point. There has to be a moderator. Just meet, fellowship, do therapy, just feel good. There are no takeaways at now. Work plans, roles. So I think this kind of moments are also required in the context of this difficult political operational environment. So I like this approach, and it's something we need really to sustain. Some of us work in a very difficult environment. So I just came to feel good. Mimi sijalala for the last 2 days, so I think we are together. So yeah, so I no, I'm saying in terms of moments. So I just came in a space where I can feel calmness and goodness. So thank you so much for this, and
yeah. So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Davis, I think, and Karen. I think you set the pace very well, and thank you so much to Inuka. My name is Winnie Masai. I serve as the ED for Information. I'd like to share a personal story in less than a minute, because we're talking about wellness, and I'm just looking at Salman wondering, do you know you have a case study right here in our midst? So sometimes last year, I crashed. My body just crashed. And I was hospitalized for a very long time. Actually, had to be out of work for 4 months. How I would define myself before I got sick was, I was someone I am and I'm still very passionate about human rights and governance work. I love my organization. I love the work that I do. I love my family. So as a woman with a young family, leading an organization and handling so much pressure, at some point my body crashed. When you talk about going on leave, I realized for the 13 years I had been at Information, 15, the only time I got to rest was actually during the December holiday, when the 2 weeks, when everywhere is closed, right? And so you go to Shago and there's no internet. That's the only time I got to rest. But we forget to remember that we are all human. And the cost of not taking care of yourself is very expensive. Please learn from me. It is very expensive. I used a lot of money because I was hospitalized for long, but then I have to deal with something that is lifelong. And it is very expensive. So it took a while for me to pick myself. There are lessons that I learned along the way. So at Information, one of the things that we've done is we've incorporated smart working approaches. that allows for flexibility. So we are allowed to work remotely, but then we are more focused on output to the extent that you can deliver on your deliverables, because we recognize we live in different parts of the city, there's traffic. So we've really moved away from the traditional ways of working and tried also to integrate technology in terms of how we work, whether it's financial management system, monitoring and all that, so that then it allows for flexibility in terms of how you work. But the other thing is just saying that we need mentorship circles, and especially also at the leadership level. It took me a visit to Oliver Wendy's office, and I think I was going to fundraise, but when I walked into his office, we ended up listening about his life story and the challenges. And one of the things that I learned through going through the three experience that I've gone through is that we are human, and life doesn't go through a straight curve. You are either in the valley at some point, sometimes you're at the mountain. So your humility up there and your resilience down here really matters. But we are all human, and we have to go through that. So as much as we are very committed, we want things to work. I hate failing personally, but you have to fail in life. It is normal. And there are things that are beyond our control, and sometimes we have to let go. It's very difficult if you are very focused and results oriented, but just learn that life doesn't operate on a straight curve. So going back to the toolkit, and thank you so much, Kawive and team. I think on page 7, I have some feedback for the consultant. Maybe it's just a clarification. There's a place where you had a table. It's actually page 4. And I think in that particular page, you highlight the barriers affecting civic actors. And so, of course, I agree with the first one. Sometimes it's lack of money, lack of interest. But there's something that is there that is lack of technological support from psychosocial experts. I think that one ranked at 87. I'm struggling to correlate with that finding in one sense that the first 4 findings actually indicate that people are either not reaching out to the psychosocial expert. If you are sick and you don't go to the doctor, how do you get treated? So I'm just struggling to understand that perspective. And then finally, there's something else that we did not pick. We are in the digital era, and most of us, whether we like to acknowledge this or not, we're always on our phones. Have we looked at the linkages between technology and how that has impacted in our lives, especially in the recent times when technology has deepened? Because I think there is something out there. Before, we would go home, sit down with our families, have a meal. These days, we are all on our phones. So perhaps that's something also we need to look at. How is this impacting on us? But thank you so much. I look forward to programming this in our program. And of course, we'll be reaching out to Inuka for that support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We had said we are going to take three. So we'll invite our chief guest, and then afterwards probably we'll be able to take the rest of the plenary. Yes. So we'll have another plenary after this. So just keep your interventions about you. Sawa. So tutarudi. Asanteni sana for those interventions, and I'm sure we'll be able during the other session for questions that have been raised and the other interventions, which I will request for us to keep them very brief in the interest of time. So now we will move to our chief guest remarks and the launch of the kit. Our chief guest, Anne Gathumbi, is a feminist human rights lawyer and an international development practitioner with over 20 years experience as a social justice advocate, working in senior leadership and management positions, and as a grant maker in philanthropy sector and fund management at country, regional, and global levels. She has experience promoting community-led change, challenging inequalities, and advancing the human rights of historically marginalized communities using evidence-based and time-tested model for social change that focuses on movement building, strategic investments, technical assistance, capacity building, advocacy, research, and learning for local partners. She is passionate about facilitating unlikely but effective collaboration between communities, activists, social movements, private sector, and government institutions to tackle structural inequality and build momentum for change. She has dedicated her career to defending rights, addressing gender inequality, and amplifying voices of those at various intersections of marginalization, especially women and girls. And she is currently the managing director at What Works. Tafadhali, let us welcome Ann Gadhumbi. Makofi, 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 Makofi. Karibu.
Wow, that's a mouthful. I was like, are they talking about me? Yes, they are. I did, for the record, I did not give that bio. But thanks so much. I'm really, really excited and delighted to be here this morning. It's still morning, I believe. To be in community with all of you, to talk about wellness, an issue that I think is deeply, deeply critical for the work that we do. And before I make my remarks, I of course want to appreciate Inuka for taking the bold step, together with the colleagues and people I've also had the pressure of working with across borders, the Legal and Human Rights Center in Tanzania, Uganda National NGO Forum. I'm told they are online, so thank you for joining us online. In terms of getting together to put together this toolkit, which is really, really needed at this particular point in time. I want to remember when I did work on violence against women many years ago at the Coalition on Violence Against Women and at Legal Resources Foundation. And we really struggled because women would come, and of course you have a lot of challenges because they are coming, they are survivors of violence, they're coming with their children, and we were doing legal aid, we were doing psychosocial support, but we also didn't have the tools and the language on after you've taken in all this, what are you going to do amongst yourselves? And so, and we had a really hard time making a case to fund us, we didn't have the language for it as wellness or self-care. We just called it debrief. We needed psychosocial support for the people also doing the work. So you've taken in all this information, you've supported the survivors, then who takes care of you as a person taking care of others? And it was a tough journey, just even making a case to be able to have our counselors, our staff, go get sessions to debrief, getting funding to pay for those debriefs. So we had to find innovative ways amongst ourselves of how we do this. And I remember one of our mentors, the former Deputy Governor of Makueni, and Elina Mwao, opened up her house, and she would say, every once a month, it's a free weekend, you come, we will have fun, you can come and just take a room and be with yourself, you know, and spend the weekend there quietly. Or we could then organize and go and sit together and do a bonfire and talk about the issues we are struggling with. So that was our way of doing self-care, which is still valid. And so just being here in this moment and seeing the amount of work that has happened and the progress we've made in terms of now we are acknowledging that wellness is an integral part of doing activism. Whether you're an environmental activist, whether you're a women's rights activist, whether you're a human rights defender, whatever you were, whatever you're doing as an activist, wellness is an integral part of you. And so really, again, the other point that I want to make is around, so I also want to thank Ford. They're not here, but that they have funded this work, really. Thanking them in absentia. And again, why this is so important. We have gone through as a country and as a region really difficult moments, politically, economically, repression. But I think we can all agree that we are in unprecedented times, not just in our country, but globally. We are seeing the rise of authoritarianism in ways we've never imagined before. Yeah? We are seeing defunding of our work, a reduction in resources. You know, we are seeing, you know, disinformation, you know, lies traveling faster than the truth. And they are fueled by online platforms, you know, that really are spreading and coming up against the truth. We are seeing journalism under attack. I mean, it feels like everything is sort of falling apart. You know, we are seeing climate denialism, climate change, the impacts, this denialism of that. We are seeing dismantling of institutions. We are seeing state capture, you know, and not just in one country. It feels like it's the whole world, you know. We are seeing elections being manipulated, not through the gun, as we used to see through coup d'etats, but now it's real manipulation of data for people to lead themselves into power. And so that becomes really a challenging moment for doing this work, for being a human rights defender, for being an activist in whichever area. And therefore, our struggles really are interconnected. There's no way we can now start saying, oh, I work on women, so that's not my struggle. I work on political, I work on environment. All our struggles are under attack. And so for me, this context is really, really critical. And so this toolkit becomes really, really important at this particular moment in time, that we actually have a tool, we have the tools to enable us to do the work and do it better. When I read the toolkit, I saw the studies that were cited in there. The human rights defenders, the trauma levels are comparable to first responders, you know, to veterans, as in the trauma levels are so high. It's like you've been in the war zone. And that is really, really telling. Again, since COVID-19, different ways of working, and while it's great that we can, we've innovated and we've been creative, there's also a lot of isolation. People find themselves alone. You're working from home, you're working from your room. Maybe that is not a safe space for you. Maybe you, and so that isolation also does come with its own challenges. It works for some, and so as activists, I think we really need to really learn, and we have the toolkit that even helps us to do the assessment to know what works for you. Is it working alone at home? Is it working in community? Is it living that space? And so really, I think it's for me, I'm feeling really excited to be here to see this. Because then the purpose of the toolkit, we've been taken through it by the consultants, so I will not belabor the point, but I want to say that we want to do this work with joy, you know? We don't want to do this work, as someone said, you hurt others when you're hurting, you know? And so we want to be able to bring our whole selves to work, to do this work, and do it with joy, you know? As one of the writers said, what's the point of a revolution if we can't dance? So we want to do this work and do it well. And also as we are taking care of ourselves. And so across all the work that we do, across the divide, across the various streams of work, I think it's critical to know that we now have this toolkit. The other thing I have found exciting is that some of these principles that are underpinning this toolkit is that it's really centered on very simple and practical things. Like it's a do no harm. While we do this work, we also don't want to do harm. Because again, if we have trauma, then we are likely to inflict trauma on the people we work with. You know, it is survivor-centered. You know, we want to focus on the person. And on the person that we are working with. You know, it is trauma-informed, you know, we want to provide care that is trauma-informed, you know, so it's also based on human rights principles that really put the human being at the core, at the foundation of every human being is the right to life, and you need to live that life with dignity, you know, the whole key aspect of dignity. So again, exciting to see all those principles are very strongly embedded in this toolkit. And so in terms of the leadership and organizational commitment, I think we do have a call to action also in this toolkit, you know, that for us to build a wellness ecosystem, you know. I also like the fact that they've used the ecological framework. You know, wellness starts at the individual level. Then it will go to your family, then it will go to your community, then it will go to the society. So, and as activists, then this framework is really, really practical, because you start wellness by healing yourself. Then you go to your organization. Then you go to your community. Then we go to movements, because without movements, I think this work will not be done, you know? And so really, really important that we follow that framework, that we have the tools. The toolkit is giving us all these level of analysis to see how we heal thyself, how we fill our communities, how we heal our families, and how we heal each other. And therefore, really very practical steps, I think, and I see a lot of comrades here, civil society leaders, and so I think it really is a guide, and it's a good guide that we can take and adapt in very practical ways and in very simple ways that don't necessarily have to cost money, you know, and that this becomes the DNA of your organizations, that you even have wellness champions. You know, the program I work for, it's called the What Works, to prevent violence against women and girls. It's a global program. It's funded by the UK government, and it does give funds and does research to actually find what works. If we have to stop violence, like we've been talking about violence for ages, forever, but we need to know then, how do we stop it? Like, it's been too much, and it's getting more and more, like we heard from Jerry, everyday femicide. What works to prevent this? How? And so we do also prioritize wellness, and so what I'm thinking is that I'm even going to have a wellness champion, you know, within the organization. A select group of people who will ensure, because we get so caught up in the doing, we forget. And so we do need to have ways in which we remind ourselves so that wellness becomes part of our DNA as leaders. Again, to funders, you know, and the development partners. I mean, the core funding. So great to see that Ford was able to fund this. And even as we talk about the funding, also we have to look at ways of our own, ways in which our own communities healed themselves. You know, we have to tap into indigenous knowledge. How did we deal with these issues of care? And how did communities heal themselves? How did people heal themselves? And I think that's a key component where, especially in these times when we are seeing that some of the aspects of our work may not get funded. So we have to tap into our inner resources as communities, as African communities that have come from a place where there was healing that happened, and how was that happening? And so can we also incorporate it so that then we are not solely dependent on external funding? Again, for governments and regional institutions, I think when we see this rise of authoritarianism, we expect our governments, even when they are sometimes the oppressors or the causes, that we expect them to protect civic space, because without a free civic space, you know, we are not going to be able to realize human rights, the health, the safety, the well-being of everyone. So again, as activists, we have to keep doing this advocacy. We have to keep coming up against these challenging conditions. I think we still have to push to the states that maintaining civic space, a healthy civic space, is critical. And then really, of course, it can't be overstated that we really, solidarity is a key aspect of self-care. And as civic actors, we must prioritize it, because without it, then you're not going to be able to build the solidarity that is needed. So really, I really want to say that I'm grateful for being here today. I want to thank Inuka and the partners, Legal and Human Rights Center, NGO Forum, for giving us the tools, you know, a comprehensive, relevant, practical toolkit that makes us be more intentional in how we deliver care. And also, not just giving us the toolkit, but also the language, you know, the language with which to do this work. I was very excited to see there's a whole session on the assessment. This is the first thing I'm going to do with my team, is for people to do the self-assessment, so that then we see how do we support people better. So I like the practicality of it. And I really, as I conclude, I want to conclude with the words of Audre Lorde, who was a civil rights activist and a poet, African-American, who said that caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. So really, that was Audre Lorde. And the reason, when I think about this statement, I really think that she was basically highlighting that personal awareness is really essential for our ability to continue the struggle for liberation. So we cannot fight for our own liberation and that as our countries if we are not well. And so this whole connection of wellness from self to family to community to society becomes really, really critical. And so in conclusion, and before I launch the toolkit, then I will also ask you in the same vein to actually read, because Audre Lorde was a poet. She wrote a poem called A Litany of Survival. And I'll just end with this poem. That for those of us who live at the shoreline, standing upon the constant edges of decision, crucial and alone. For those of us who cannot indulge the passing dreams of choice, who love in doorways, coming and going, in the hours between dawns, looking inward and outward, at once before and after, seeking a now that can breed futures, like bread in our children's mouths, so their dreams will not reflect the death of ours. For those who were imprinted with fear, like a faint line in the center of our foreheads, learning to be afraid with our mother's milk, for by this weapon, this illusion of some safety to be found, the heavy-footed hope to silence us. For all of us, this instant and this triumph, we were never meant to survive. And when the sun rises, we are afraid it might not remain. When the sun sets, we are afraid it might not rise in the morning. When our stomachs are full, we are afraid of indigestion. When our stomachs are empty, we are afraid we never eat again. When we are loved, we are afraid love will vanish. When we are alone, we are afraid love will never return. And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. So I want to end on that note. And to once again, thank you so much, Kawive, and your team for this important milestone. So tell me what to do next.
Right, that was very beautiful. We were not meant to merely survive. So now we're going to launch the kit. We'll have the cutting. I will invite the Chief Executive Officer of Inuka Kenya Nisisi, to be on stage as well. And for all of us to be upstanding for this beautiful moment where we'll be launching the wellness kit. And also to just join in the music and the clapping and yeah, Salima. Some volume, Alan. Kidogo tupige makofi. Nayo kinzambe motindo ya mpasi fanyokolio yaka pembeni na zalise wayo ya motema tovani bomwana tumeseningana yo dunia tovani bomwana kimuningana miso ya mama ezali mabena yo mokumi na mpasi na zate na koyona Kenya Karabanda! Karabanda! Wellness kit! Karabanda! Karabanda! Wellness kit! Hey, sway a bit with the wellness kit. Let us see it. Makofi kidogo like this. Let's just clap like this, slowly in the air. I want you to continue with the claps as we are launching. Yeah, this is where it's at. The wellness kit. Tuna dance. Nini kwanza mutuonyeshe. Lead, let's go. Yay. Kikamara de abomana tango mususwele kakabondeko. Dayabani bomana totamboli Kenya mubimba ngana yo. Tuko wapi hapa? Nairobi. Mombasa. Alafu tufike wapi? Nakuru, Kisumu, oti wapi? Na wellness, na wellness, na wellness, na wellness ni yetu. Ndio hiyo imefika. Ndio. Mbona siwaoni? Mbona siwaoni? Please hold your books up like this. Your wellness books. Go around the room. Feel the wellness. Hey, I'm not seeing you around the room. Watu wako bado kwa hapo. Hey, ndio hao. Usikimi. Faith, twende. Naki Nairobi, mbona sali Naki Nairobi, nakuzanga na duni. Naki Nairobi, mbona sali Naki Nairobi, nakuzanga na duni. Makofi. Twende. Makofi. 1, 2. Makofi. 1, 2. Makofi. Makofi. All right. I think this is the official launch of the wellness kit towards care, healing, and resilience. Makofi. Let us appreciate a tool for building a wellness ecosystem for civic actors in East Africa. We want to thank our chief guest today, Anne Githumbi, the Managing Director of What Works. We want to thank our speakers, our consultant, Oyoko Odhiambo, Dr. Catherine Wanjiku Waweru, the CEO of Inuka Kenya, and all of us who've been here. Ladies and gentlemen, let us clap for the launch of this program. When I say Makofi, you know what to do. Makofi, 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 Makofi. All right. And I think with this, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the tail end of our event. And also, as HRDs, we are supposed to be disciplined kidogo with time. So we should be out of this place in the next few minutes. But in true, to keep true to our word, we had promised that we'll give some slots to people to give a plenary. And I would just request for us to kindly keep our interventions brief. So we'll give 1 minute each to 4 people. We'll have 2 over here and 2 over here. And then we will be calling Emily Wangoi, the finance and admin at Inuka Kenya Nisisi, to give us a vote of thanks. So very brief interventions, 1 minute, and then we can have the vote of thanks, and we can close for the day.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Purity Nekesa. I volunteer at FPRJC, and I'm grateful to Inuka Nisisi and every person who played a part in creating this toolkit, because for young people, we want to hit the ground running right after school. We want to do everything. We want to be everywhere, because we've been told by the past and by the predecessors before us that sitting down or resting or taking time out is being lazy. So this will help us as young people, and I hope that it will reach even the young people in the society. And I'm grateful to even my ED who sent me here to represent her. As a young person, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's clap for her.
Morning, everyone, once again. I think I was talking to KHRC. I was invited there to give some comments to staff and just talk them through a few things in management. And I was just telling them something which I think is really critical, that there is a whole lot of difference between applying what you've learned and living what you believe in. And I think that is the biggest disconnect that we have, not only in this sector, but in leadership generally. Because you cannot be what you are not practicing. We are in an human right environment, ecosystem. But my question that I keep on asking every manager that I come across is, are you living an ecosystem that your staff can proudly say they are safe in? And that's what I think is the biggest problem. I mean, I've been an executive director for a very long time, and I can tell you that one of the experiences that I experienced, which I think is really critical as we maneuver around this very critical issue, is one of my staff who was getting sacked by the program director some time back. Not here, not in Uraia. And it was always a constant war. I come every day and I get a sacking letter on my desk from the head of programs, and I kept on asking, what is the problem? Oh, she's not performing, she's blah, blah, blah. And she's become moody all of a sudden. And therefore, she's unable to meet the expectation of the program director, who then is unable to meet expectation of the executive director. But of course, I refused to actually sack the lady. But it then turned out that the lady actually got married with a girl who was then impregnated by her husband. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that unless you know the story behind the face, then it becomes very difficult to actually be empathetic. And therefore, it calls upon us as managers who are here that before we talk about wellness in the theoretical manner that we've learned today, are you yourself able to provide people the space to actually espouse what they feel? Now, what Winnie told you is what we discussed with her in my office. I've spoken about this globally, internationally, and here in Kenya, encouraging young people, encouraging young colleagues on how to survive with trauma. And I can tell you, what she was telling you, I lost my wife in very tragic circumstances. It's all in the press, so you can always Google Oliver Winde and you'll see. But then my wife then stayed 6 months in the mortuary. All right? Because I couldn't afford to get her out to go and bury her here at Lee Funeral Home. I was working in Sudan, so you come back, you're jobless because there was war in Sudan. So you're jobless, your wife is in the mortuary, and all of a sudden, you are confronted with a bill of 11 million. Which my colleagues, like herself, have helped me to pay just the other day cleared. But that's not the issue. The issue was I'd spent a lot of time also and resources building a house in Syokimau. So the day of the burial, at 1, that is the day that I actually get my house demolished next to Kawive's plot. So you've just buried your wife, you got 11 million shillings deficit, debt at Nairobi Hospital, and the house that you spent all your life and lifetime resources building is demolished 2 hours after the burial. But you just have to come out strong. I know you're jobless, remember? And even right now, as I'm talking to you, both my parents are critically ill with cancer in hospital. My only son got into drugs when you have not seen him. So you've not seen your son in a year. Both of your parents are in hospital, but you still have to be a manager, get to meet your goals. Kawive is my board member, I can tell you. But unless you know and interact with the person so that you just don't see Oliver the person, but you know the story behind Oliver. And then you ask yourself, how can I help Oliver to overcome this? But if you judge me from what you see prima facie, then you are unable to actually understand why Oliver is behaving the way he's behaving. Why somebody would leave McQueen to come and shoot somebody with an arrow at gate D, at set out. It is very difficult, but it also requires you to have some, how do I put it, ability to comprehend beyond what you're seeing. I think that is really critical. As a matter of fact, I sit in the board of Kenya Women Finance Trust. A lot of you know that. And we had a board meeting only for one of us to be called that the daughter committed suicide. We married yesterday. And there were no signs at all. I mean, these are people doing well, very well. But when you go deep and you hear testimonies and people that she had confided with for the 3 days prior to her death, then you realize that we are actors. We are not authentic. And therefore, when she meets you, she has to be, all made up like she is. Can we be vulnerable? Can we let people be whom they are as managers where we are working? So that they don't see Oliver the manager. They see Oliver the big brother, whom they can come to my office and cry and just be themselves. I can go on and on and on, but all what I'm trying to say here is, forget about what you've just learned as a theoretical thing. Be that person that people can come and pour themselves out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oliver.
Wow. Thank you, Oliver. I feel like what you've just said, like you are here to ground the reality of that this is not theoretical. This is something that all of us are experiencing in our lives in one way or another. And it's like we're at that point where the trauma is just really overboiling. Like it's like a sufuria where maziwe mefika, like it's just boiling over. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of everyone when I say that we kind of like we are in solidarity, like we hold you in our hearts however much we can. Even if you're a stranger to a lot of us, that we feel pain. We think our pain is our own, but I think it's possible to share pain. So I just want to say thank you, congratulations actually to the Inuka team for this. This was an extremely beautiful event, and just the spirit of the organic way in which you keep on moving, responding to the needs. And this is a need that I think a lot of us have been recognizing is there. And even what Karen said about how the national pains, how they come back to the individual pain, the social pain, the economic pain, the political pain, in which they all really come back together and hit us. So I'm believing that this is the beginning of something more. For me, I'm feeling like I've been crowned as an evangelist of this movement, to go and begin opening conversations on this word, and beyond even conversations, but actually taking action. So, so for me, I'm challenged. I'm challenged to begin asking questions of what more can I do in my spaces? How can I use my spaces and my platforms a lot more consciously, rather than just whatever you're just doing it. But how can we use our spaces and our platforms and our tools to be tools for healing, to be spaces for healing? How can we, as Oliver's challenged us, how can we as individuals become catalysts for healing? So thank you so much, and all the best, and we'll keep on talking.
Thank you so much.
My question, or rather my observation, I would like to know, because in most cases, when we talk about wellness, we tend to lead to Western ideology, and yet in our communities, African communities, there is a way that we used to do our wellness, we used to care for ourselves, we used to care for the environment. So My question was about how is the toolkit, how is it going to bring on board the indigenous knowledge that communities have in years held and also bring community healers in this process, because I think that's an ecosystem that also need to be tapped into if we are talking about wellness, other than leaning so much on Western psychology. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we were taking those four, and because of time, ladies and gentlemen, you'll allow us to just close it at that. Thank you very much for those interventions, and also for being vulnerable, for those who are able to be vulnerable within the space. And I think Ruth Mombi was just adding on to the toolkit that we should have an addition of indigenous methods of
so that she can close. As you are seated, just listen to your body. Just feel what is there that you are feeling. Nini imekuguza wakati walikuwa naongea, what happened to your body. I think there's something, so awareness. Awareness that something has touched me. B, balancing, what can you do to feel better? And C, connection. So connecting with people and see how we can do. So let's do a breathing exercise. Just breathe in a count of 4. Hold it in a count of 7, and release it in a count of 8. I think because of time, we'll do just 3 times. Just as you are seated, just listen to your body. Just breathe in. Hold in a count of 7, and release it in a count of 8. You can just release that one. The last one, breathe in. Hold it. And release it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I'm Nashida Sante. So thank you so much. Thank you for the feedbacks. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the insight. And maybe just because the last one was a question from Mombi, we are cognizant, and I think Oyoko spoke about the non-conventional way of looking at wellness. If you may just look at page 15, we acknowledge also the indigenous approaches and practices. Because we say, as human beings also, we heal differently. There's some of us who will heal through therapy. There's some of us who will heal through nature. There's some of us who just heal through music and dance. So we look at different approaches and just appreciating also our very own here in terms of knowledge, skills, and expertise. So that has been factored in the toolkit on page 15. Thank you so much, Mombi. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's time just to give a vote of thanks, and the person to help us do that is our very able finance and manager admin at Inuka Kenya DCC, Emily Wangoi. And I don't want to say Asante Sana Sefu because she'll be doing all that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sabima. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's not yet afternoon, so I'm here on behalf of Inuka Kenya to give a vote of thanks, and I'll just go through it. So on behalf of Inuka Kenya, I sincerely thank each one of you for joining us today for the launch of Towards Care, Healing and Resilience Toolkit for Civic Actors. A special appreciation to our partners, the guest speakers, and guests for your invaluable support and insights that have made today a success. To the team that has worked behind the scenes, Inuka team, the consultant, all our partners in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, and any other I may not have mentioned, your dedication and vulnerability made this moment possible, and we are grateful. We hope this toolkit as a resource will strengthen your wellness at a personal and institutional level. Let's continue building a stronger, more resilient wellness ecosystem together. Thank you once again for your presence. May you be blessed.
All right, and I think with that, then we will officially close this session of wellness. And tunawatakia kila laheri mnakokwenda, na tunaomba kwamba we'll be able to implement this wellness for ourselves, for our organizations, for people who work with and for us, for our families, and in all the places that we will be going. Thank you very much. We wish you a very great afternoon, a very great end of the week as you continue, and a blessed month. Asanteni sana. Alan, unaweza tupatia wimbo wa mwisho as we go.
And thank you.
Thank you.
I know when after the vote of thanks, we're not supposed to do anything. There's a time I said, Karibe angenifuta kazi kitabu, because I'm not so good with protocols. But nevertheless, the toolkit is available online. So kindly, I know maybe we have few copies, the physical copies, but you can just either scan or we've shared it on our WhatsApp platform. Please, let's just make it. Let it go viral, because I mean, if we heal each other, we heal our communities and the nation at large. So thank you so much. Paul Sefu.
When Uncle Pops and you know what, hallelujah, shut up, when I'm a young son, so I know, you know I'm talking, I see you more than my country, you know I'm to kill it this time, I can't tell it, who sings a sin, who's in shopping, yeah, shot